people will say, well, the Jets weren't good anyway. They were not supposed to be good anyway. So, y'all, let's see what happens the next following week. And if they lose, it's like, here we go. They can't even beat the lowly Jets. You know, here we go again with another 3-13. Cam Ward not living up to expectations. Even if he play a really good game, it's still going to be, and they lose, it's still going to be something, win or lose. So,
by the way, the New York Post reported something other than Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini today. The New York Post reported that the Titans will visit the New York Giants in Week 3. So Brian Daboll's revenge game, I guess you could call it, takes place.
Get them out there early.
In Week 3. I think it was reported that the Titans will play the Eagles in Week 2. But if you see any schedule leaks that we don't get to, 615-737-1025, our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. But I mentioned Jarvis Brownlee. Remember, Jarvis Brownlee traded by Mike Borgonzi to the New York Jets during last season. And Brownlee, I think he was a bit sour about it. Well, our friend Easton Freeze pointed out that once this game leaked, Jarvis Brownlee went to Instagram, I guess screenshotted the graphic from Jordan Schultz, and added, quote, "You ever seen a gorilla on the green grass? Circle Week 1 on your calendar bloodbath. Y'all gonna feel every inch in my body." End quote. I wish I was making that up.
It's on.
It's on.
Jarvis Brownlee.
You got to love it. I mean, listen, again, it's a storyline. Now he has to back it up no matter what. He has to go out there and, you know, where the rubber meets the road, and you got to prove that, you know, what you said, you're capable of backing it up. And I'm talking about a win. I'm not talking about you do well and y'all still lose. No, it has to be a win, period. But with Jarvis, with him, I think it's the narrative that was attached to him when he was leaving out the door. It wasn't necessarily, I don't believe, the trade, because players understand it happens. You get traded. You know, you hear 1 year, you trade it the next. Things may not be going well, but they trade you off. But there seems to always never be like, as you're leaving out, somebody throwing dirt on your name or whatnot. And he felt that's what the Titans were doing. That's what the narrative was he wasn't a team player. He wasn't this. So he goes to New York with the Jets, and he's always trying to prove he's not that player that the Titans claim him to be. He wasn't a part of the new culture in the locker room. So he's more so upset about that than I think the actual trade is. You're throwing dirt on my name. I don't know whether it's true or not what, you know, they thought of Jarvis. All it was he wasn't a culture guy. He wasn't a guy that fit our culture. That can be defined by anything you want it to be, from play to attitude. It doesn't matter. And I think he took it as my attitude, how I was in the building. And they sent me out the door and just threw dirt on my name as I was going out the door. That's what he's pissed off about.
I'd say first play of the season, play action to Carnell Tate, covered by Brownlee. You know what's going to happen?
Let me
go for the bomb. Go for the bomb.
Let me paint.
You know what's going to happen?
PI.
Defensive holding.
Let me paint the picture.
We were thinking along the same line.
Yes.
Brownlee did get penalized more than once when he was in the
Absolutely.
Titans uniform.
Yes, he did. Let me paint the picture of the absolute worst case scenario for the beginning of this game. Titans receive the opening kickoff. Cam Ward jogs onto the field alongside Carnell Tate, his first official NFL play. Cam Ward drops back. He's pressured by T'Vondre Sweat. He scrambles. He tosses a prayer toward Carnell Tate. Jarvis Brownlee, interception, pick six. 6-0 New York Jets.
Please don't let that happen.
By the way, the
don't
Jets,
let that happen.
To make matters worse, if that were to happen, the Jets were the first team in NFL history last season to record 0 interceptions in a full season. So just imagine Cam Ward throwing a pick six to Jarvis Brownlee after being pressured by T'Vondre Sweat, intended for Carnell Tate. 6-0 Jets right off the hop.
If he throws an interception in that game at any point, the whole Jets sideline is going to go crazy. They have.
Of
It's been so
course.
long since they had an interception.
Absolutely. But I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen realistically. Whether it's a run or a pass, if Jarvis Landry is in the game, Jarvis Brownlee, I said Jarvis Landry. He's an older player.
Yes, wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Yes. If Jarvis Brownlee is on the field, nickel outside, don't matter. First play of the game, he is going to try to his best to put whoever he's defending on the ground. I'm telling you what he's going to do. I've seen DBs year in and year out, especially those that go to another team and they're playing their team, or they're going to get somebody that's been talking smack, or if they was talking smack, the first play, run or pass, he is going to jam the receiver. He's going to try to put whoever he's in front of on the ground to show that I mean business.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do.
Might get penalized for it.
Yeah, he may get penalized, but that is what he's going to do.
T'Vondre Sweat also reacted to the report of the first game being Jets at Titans with saluting emoji, snorting smoke emoji, snorting smoke emoji. He took he had a little more tact than Jarvis Brownlee, but T'Vondre Sweat amped up for the game.
I like it though. I like it. I want them all, our offensive linemen, to be on their P's and Q's. You know, I want big T'Vondre Sweat to come out and put the pressure. Why? Because then that'll show me what type of offensive line we have.
One texter says, why does Adam have to be the male version of Debbie Downer describing the first play of the game? I was just saying that's the worst case scenario. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
But you kind of are.
But that's par for course, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people accuse me.
No such thing
people
as a jinx.
Exactly.
Well, people accuse me of being a jinx. So if I put it out there, maybe the opposite will happen. Maybe Cam Moore drops back. Jarvis Brownlee ends up on Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate makes one of those contested catches he was so good at making at Ohio State. Penalty flag on the play, declined because it was a big gain on Jarvis Brownlee. Maybe that's what actually happens. That same texter says, I prefer Willy's version. But
The defensive holding.
P.I.
He's good for one. The over-under is 1.5 penalties on Brownlee in that game.
And I think
that might be a take it to the bank.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was a
Yeah.
part of his deal. He's a good player. I think he's a developing player. He has the right mentality and attitude. He has to know how to walk that fine line in this league. But for whatever reason, he just couldn't. He never, and I've always said that he never trusted his ability to get in and out of his breaks, even though he would always be in phase with the receiver. It was like he didn't trust that he could break down and get from point A to point B fast like the receiver, or be there, and he would grab him more times than not.
One texter says, Trevor says, if I was Brownlee, I'd be more worried about his team getting an interception this year. Well, he's going to try in week one. Jeff said the Raiders beat the Patriots week one last year. The Patriots went to the Super Bowl. The Raiders were the worst team. I mean, we know in the NFL, anything can happen. But I think this game, the Jets being the Titans' first opponent, I certainly think it's the highest risk opponent, I guess you could say, considering the storyline, specifically Saleh. Like, it would be one thing if this matchup happened in week 6 and the Titans were 2-3 and the Jets were 0-5. But to start the season head to head, I think there's a lot riding on it. That's just me.
Yeah, but I think from a fan standpoint, not from a team standpoint, this is more of a higher risk, lower reward type of game, because if they lose, everybody's going to be bashing them. But if they win, it's like, oh, you should have won. But in the locker room, it's like, listen, we won. We moving on.
Gunner says, imagine being that salty about getting traded from a 3-14 team. Well, I guess it is the Jets they went to. I totally get it. One texter says, thank God for Daboll. We aren't 100% sure it's a first play handoff up the middle. Well, we'll see what Brian Daboll's first play call is. 615-737-1025. It's been reported. Week 1, season opener, Nissan Stadium, New York Jets, Tennessee Titans. Is this as close to a must-win game in week 1 of an NFL season as there can be for Robert Saleh in his first game, in his second chance as an NFL head coach? 615-737-1025. We will take your reaction to that and continue the conversation coming up next. Today, Vanderbilt baseball takes on South Carolina at Hawkins Field. First pitch is at 6. You can catch all of the action here on 102.5 The Game. Coverage is presented by Gary Force Acura.
you don't draft your way into prime time, you play your way into prime time. So just because you had the number one pick doesn't mean you automatically make the prime time schedule the following season, but certainly fan interest will be there. I think they're on national television in the preseason, so at least fans will get a chance to see Cam play then if he's playing. But I'll tell the Titans and I'll tell the Saints and I'll tell all the teams what we tell everybody. Nobody knows anything. It's sports. It's the NFL. It's the beauty of the league, right? There's 4 or 5 playoff teams every year that finish last in their division the previous season. There's always something like that. So you've got every chance to play yourself into bigger television windows, whether we flex you to a Sunday night or a Monday night, or we expand the footprint of your game on CBS on Sunday at 1 o'clock. You can get to 60, 70% of the country on a Sunday afternoon if yours is the game that matters. So they've got every opportunity, just like every other team, to play their way into bigger windows. And look, I hope they surprise us every year. Somebody surprises us, right? 2 years ago, we didn't put the Texans on national television and they made the playoffs. Last year, I think the Commanders only had 1 or 2, and now they have 9. Like, things turn around real quick in this league. If the Titans make the playoffs and Cam's the rookie of the year,
That was our buddy, NFL VP of Broadcast Planning, Mike North, last year on Russ Tucker's podcast, talking about the Titans getting 0 primetime games despite having the number 1 overall pick. You can't draft your way into primetime, guys. I had to dig into the archives to find that. I wanted to surprise you today with one of my favorite clips we've ever played on the show.
That was a good one. Now, I want to see if that continues to be the case, because the Vegas Raiders had the number 1 pick and they drafted Mendoza.
What happens if the Raiders draft their way into prime
Let's
time?
see if the Raiders, after having a dismal season consecutively, if they are awarded even one primetime game. Remember, what did he say last year, Adam?
You can't draft your way into prime time.
And what did the Titans have? 0. Well, they have 1 preseason. And he said that so flippant.
If he plays.
Yeah.
That was
a backhanded
He
compliment.
was so excited to be talking. It was unbelievable. Like, somebody's letting me talk. Wow.
But you know what? The Titans didn't make the playoffs, and
No.
Cam Ward wasn't Rookie of the Year. So we'll see if Mike North and co. penalize the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, they're going to.
Oh, definitely.
All right, Derek, I'm going to give you an opportunity here. Last week, you said the Tennessee Titans would have 2 scheduled primetime games and be flexed into a third. Before we find out the schedule in a matter of hours, do you want to change your mind, or are you locking in?
Listen, I ain't changing. I'm down like 4 fat tires, man. I'm down on all 10. Okay?
Okay.
They're going to get 2, possibly even 3 flexed into. I'm standing firm on that. I'm standing firm.
I admire your gumption, Derek Mason. By the way, friend of the show, Nick Suss, who will join us at 4:20, as he wrote in the Tennessean. The Titans didn't play a single primetime game in 2025, as we have noted many times. He mentions the last time the Titans played a game that wasn't buried in a Sunday slate with other games was Week 4 of the 2024 season on Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins, which I believe was one of those double-header Monday Night Football games. Suss continues, it's been even longer since the Titans hosted a primetime game. For that, think back to a Thursday Night Football game played against the Dallas Cowboys in 2022.
Look, the Titans, it's not just this year or last year that they haven't been featured. And this year listen, last year and potentially this year, you have an excuse not to put them on. They haven't been good. I get that part. But then there was a time, and I think it was in Nick's article from 2015 to 2025 where the Titans only appeared so many times. But in that span, they had 4 or 5 playoff trips. In the season that they were coming off of, I think being the number 1 seed at 12-5, the very next season they didn't have many primetime games. So I truly believe there is this sort of bias when it comes to certain teams. It's always been that way with the Titans, even going back to my days, where no matter what you do, they're only going to give you a certain amount, maybe 2.
Minimum.
Exactly, the minimum amount just to put you out there, no matter how well the Titans have been doing. And to me, the league, there should be something done about that, because if you are penalizing the team, I think honestly, I just believe they continue to penalize Bud for what he did. That's what I believe. And because nothing tells me otherwise. This team spent a portion between 15 and 25, half of it in the playoffs, I believe. And they never really got any primetime games. And they had arguably he was the best running back in the game and arguably a top 5 player in the game in Derrick Henry.
It's been pointed out that the NFL is big on reunion games for the Jets and season openers, as has been reported. Jets at Titans week 1, Robert Saleh. In 2013, the Jets faced Darrelle Revis in the season opener against the Buccaneers. In 2021, it was the Jets versus Sam Darnold and the Panthers. Last year, it was the Jets versus Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. So this is a thing, apparently, that the NFL likes to do, putting the Jets against a former coach or notable player in week 1 of the NFL season.
Well, I mean, that bodes well for the Titans and Titan fans that, want to see their team on a national stage. I think, knowing that has been done before with the Jets and trying to keep up, just keep them relevant in a sense. That does bode well for the Titan fans or for players. But honestly, what players look at it, and they may look at the beginning of the year and they may, oh man, we ain't got no primetime game. But then after that, it's just like, all right, let's go play. Let's go prove to them that we deserve to be on the field. So after it initially comes out, players don't think about it anymore.
Trevor says, fun fact, the Titans are 3-7 in their past 10 home openers, according to Warren Sharp. They better beat the Jets. One texter says, I predict there will be 1 billion Jets fans at the game.
Well, I doubt it. Not 1 billion.
Not even the first.
There'll be a few. It won't be like
not literally 1 billion.
No,
but I don't think it'll be like the Cowboys or the Steelers or one of those teams.
I think the first game of the season typically brings in the most people because it's like that hope. Like, okay, everybody's on even playing ground, and I want to see my team at its best. So what everybody tends to do is come out for the first game. The weather's great, and then maybe New York don't bring as many people, but if they expect to dominate the stadium like, say Buffalo or something, it's not going to happen, especially not the first game of the season. I don't expect it to happen.
One texter says, you can't compare the Raiders to the Titans. The Raiders have a much bigger footprint, whereas the Titans are pretty local.
Yes, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's TV market size and the fact that they don't have a national following. The Raiders do have a following that goes beyond where they're playing. They played in a lot of different places, but they have one of those national kind of things.
But again, it came out of his mouth. It came out of the horse's mouth. You cannot draft your way into prime time. Okay. How many games did the Raiders have last year on prime time?
They had some Monday night.
Did they?
I feel
the only teams
early in the season, maybe?
Last season who did not have any scheduled primetime games were the Titans, Saints, and Browns. So the Raiders definitely had.
They must have one.
At least one
or two.
I can't pretend to know what the Raiders' primetime schedule was last season. Scott in Shelbyville says, is that Jimi Hendrix in the background or Stevie Ray Vaughan? Either way, it's awesome. I mean,
it is Jimi Hendrix.
We are
Voodoo Child.
We are at First Horizon Park as the Sounds and Iowa Cubs warm up behind us. So we've got a great soundtrack. One texter says, if the Titans get 2 primetime games, I'm ready for Dmase to take his victory lap. He believes in them.
Yes, I do. I'm not going to rub it in. I'm not going to rub it in anybody's face. Just going to take it with grace, and hey, I know what I'm talking about. But if it don't happen, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
You just don't know Mike North.
Exactly.
Like we know Mike North.
Do you think we can get Mike North on the
He's
show?
He's going to sabotage Nashville.
Oh,
Andrew
man.
says,
he was so to tell everybody how you can't schedule
Exactly.
your way into prime time.
And then he was excited to tell them,
But the preseason
you got a
game.
preseason
Yeah,
game,
oh, yeah.
and Cam may play.
We've
So bad.
got to dig up our segment playing that clip we just played from last year. I've said it before. It's one of my favorite segments in the history of the show. Andrew says, "What do you guys think is more likely, a Thursday nighter at Jacksonville or a Monday nighter versus Cleveland?" I would say Thursday nighter at Jacksonville. Thursday night is prime time AFC South matchup to me. When I think Thursday night football, I think Titans versus Jaguars. That just immediately comes to mind.
I think Thursday used to be the dumping ground, but now that Amazon has paid what they paid to get that game, I don't think I think they try to get better matchups for them.
Yeah.
I think Thursday night used to be the old, this is where we can get the throw them a cookie.
Because it was on
The
NFL
Jaguars
Network,
and the
wasn't
Titans.
it?
Yeah.
It was on NFL Network.
Josh, who's from Nevada, says the Raiders had a Black Friday game on Amazon. So that was the
that was the only game?
Raiders nationally televised game. Raiders Black Friday game on Amazon.
Well, they knew everybody would be out shopping.
Yeah. I must have missed that one.
Yeah, I missed that one too because
I definitely missed that one.
But I mean, Titan fans, honestly, Titans fans should be a little bit upset with the NFL because it's been proven whether they've come off of a really good season, great season, or if they come off of a bad season as they have the last 2 years. It's hard. The NFL is almost like they're forced. Like when they're putting them on television, it's like, oh, I really don't want to do it, but I gotta do it. And they put them on television.
Do you think it physically pains Mike North, the idea of putting the Titans on primetime?
No, I think Mike North is just excited to not put him on there.
It don't pain him at all.
He's excited to tell you why he does everything. I don't.
It don't pain him.
I want to know.
One bit.
I want to know who unleashed him to do interviews.
Well, do you think he's being prepared to do all of the interviews starting tomorrow once the schedule comes out? They're
He's got
taking him out of mothballs.
I'm
after
sure he's been looking forward to it all year.
Yes. We'll see if our buddy Mike
He's been
North.
silenced. For
Yes.
a year.
Who was interviewing him when he
That was
made that
Ross.
quote?
That was Ross Tucker's podcast.
Okay,
Oh,
And
so
Ross,
surely Ross will have him back on.
yeah.
Ross Tucker specifically asked North about the Titans not having any primetime games despite having the number 1 overall pick, because I think we talked about this last year, how history showed that the number 1 overall pick at quarterback typically got at least one primetime game. The rules have changed, obviously. You're not required to have a primetime game anymore.
Which
But
I think is a bummer for everybody. At least in my opinion. Okay, I want to ask you guys this question. If you don't think, which y'all don't, really you don't think they're getting a game. You're in the
I don't
middle
think
like one maybe.
I don't think they're getting.
Exactly.
I think they get one. I think they
Okay.
get one.
Do y'all think that they have a higher percentage of chance of getting a flex game or a game just on the docket?
Well, you can't. They have to be good to be
Yeah.
flex.
That's why I'm asking you. Do you think they are more likely to get a flex game, Willie? Because this question is directly, honestly, to you. Do they get a flex game or do they get a on the docket game?
They will not get an on the docket game. The only way they would get one would be a flex game, and I think that's unlikely. I just don't think they'll be that relevant this year, but I've been wrong before. Strength of schedule, we just illustrated how that can give you a lot of hope. If your schedule turns out to be one of the 10 easiest, you're going to win some more games.
So you don't think this is a maybe, Adam? You just think one and that's it.
I think they get one scheduled primetime game. I'm going to say it's a Thursday nighter, and that's it. I don't think they're going to be good enough at the end of the season to merit being flexed into primetime.
Okay.
I think they get a Thursday night game somewhere in the first half of the season. Somewhere in the first half of the season, the Titans will have a Thursday night game. Now, I don't know where it's going to be or who they're going to play, but that's my prediction. A Thursday night game in the first half of the season.
It depends on how they set up the schedule, though. There's been leaks of, well, the Giants and the Jets are within the first 3 to 5 games.
Yes.
So you're
Jets
pitting
week
them,
1, Giants week
so
3.
you're pitting them against at least 2 teams they should be, winning in a sense. So who are those other 3 or 4 games that they schedule at the beginning of the year?
I feel more confident saying that they're not going to get one because the Giants and Jets would have been 2 logical ones that might have been candidates if you were going to throw them a cookie.
But what if they start off 3-0?
Well, they don't flex games until when? The last quarter of the season?
Yeah, late.
Yeah,
in the
but I'm
season.
saying they start 3-0, and then now that gets them to thinking, okay, there may be a possibility depending on what they do.
Now Derek's got them going 3-0.
Let's go to break before
That
Derek
sounds
says
great.
something else crazy. 615.
I'm all for this plan. If it happens, I'll be excited.
You heard it here first. Titans starting 3-0, according to Derek Mason.
Oh, my goodness.
And 2 primetime games. And then 2 more that are flex to primetime.
You won't be able to turn off the Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction to the NFL schedule release. It's been reported. Jets at Titans in week 1. Titans at Giants in week 3. Jets at Titans in week 1. Titans at Giants in week 3. I believe it's also been reported somewhere that the Eagles will be the Titans' opponent in week 2. That game, I believe, would be here. 615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction. Plus, I want to comment on an unbelievable game last night. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Our friend Chad here has showed me the lines for NFL Week 1 via Superbook Sports. Titans favored by 2.5.
Oh, went up. See? They hear
The
me.
line's going up.
They
Over
hear me.
under 39.5.
Man.
We'll see.
Close to 20
Jets
points
at Titans reported
per
in
team.
Week 1. The NFL schedule will officially be released in a few hours. The anticipation is killing all of us. Jeremy in Clarksville says, small market teams don't get featured in primetime. It's not just the Titans. Kansas City wasn't a primetime team until they got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. The Patriots weren't a primetime team until they got Tom Brady, although I would say Boston's a pretty big market.
Exactly.
The Titans haven't had a star quarterback or been consistently good. But Derek made the point, for a while the Titans were consistently solid.
And listen, to say Kansas City is a small market, they're not. The trophy is named after their owner. That is not a small, maybe a small city, but the NFL don't look at them as a small market team.
Well, from like a population/media standpoint.
The
Places
TV
that-
market
yeah.
is the market, but you certain teams like Green Bay would
Exactly.
be the extreme example. They're in the tiny market, but
Exactly.
they have a following. So
exactly. Yeah, and that's just like Kansas City. So
yeah, I think Kansas City, especially with all the success, has a regional following.
exactly. So, but what was that? What was the other question? What was the other question he was saying? I got
Small
it now.
market teams don't get featured in primetime.
Uh-huh.
It's not just the Titans. Kansas City wasn't a primetime team.
Willie brought up that, I brought up and Willie agreed with it that, listen, in between that time span, the Titans were one of the best teams in the league. And they were not, respected when you're talking about scheduling. They were not respected in that aspect, nor were they respected when you're talking about nationally, how the people saw Nashville, or let's say the Titans, not necessarily the city, but how they saw the Titans. But the Titans were one of the best teams in that span. So no matter if they're winning or losing, it seems like they're grasping for an opportunity to prove that, we are worthy of having a national game when they've proven it, more times than not.
I'm looking to see what the Titans' combined record was.
It was 81 and 100 and something. And a lot of it was the last 2 years, the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay, I will look that up because I am curious to see where the Titans' record ranks in that span. If I can get my internet to work, this is great radio. Okay, their winning percentage between 2016 and 2021, 608. Which was tied for 8th in the NFL. They were 59 and 38 between 2016 and 2021. The only teams, that might include playoffs. No, does that include playoffs too?
Well, I mean,
no, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I was looking at
Okay.
at the wrong thing here. So here are the teams with the better winning percentage between 2016 and 2021. Kansas City, New England, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Baltimore, and Seattle. End of list. I don't know how many primetime games the Titans had between 2016 and 2021, but that's to your point.
If you start winning a lot of games, you'll get on there more. That's the way it's always been.
But it's not like the Titans benefited from being one of the more successful teams in that time period. They still didn't benefit from it.
Well, perhaps
I don't know if is there a benefit for play? Like I think I could make an argument that playing every Sunday on a routine where your week is the same every week.
No, you're right about that.
There's some good things about that.
No, you're absolutely right. Guys, just like everybody, I believe everybody, but we like routine. It's best when we're in the routine. So if I'm waking up, 3-4 weeks in a row, and the game is at 12, no matter what, whether it's 12 Central, 12 Eastern, 1 Central, we know. But we do like that, it to be broken up, 2 or 3 times during the year where you're not always playing at noon or, 3 o'clock, which is, noon West Coast time. So we do like that. But yeah, like you said, Willie, it's good to get up every morning, have your routine, know what time you're playing, know what time the game in, and you can kind of go from there. But we do love an opportunity to play on television, whether it's once or twice a year.
I do want to sneak in what I thought was a fabulous game last night. It didn't look like it was going to be a fabulous game. It ended up being a fabulous game. The Colorado Avalanche eliminate the Minnesota Wild 4-3 in overtime. The Wild led 3-0 at the end of the first period. 2 late goals by the Avalanche force overtime. Brett Kulak with the overtime winner as the Avalanche advance to the Western Conference Final, where they will take on either Vegas or Anaheim. That game 6 tonight, and we'll tell you why you need to root for the Golden Knights in that game in just a moment. But Willie, you know me, I love my obscure stats, and this one was right up my alley. The Wild are the first team in NHL history to have a 3+ goal lead at the first intermission of a playoff game, but then have fewer than 10 shots on goal the rest of the way and end up losing. This is the ultimate, we're up 3-0, we're parking the bus. And that's dangerous against the Colorado Avalanche.
You know, I hear that, and I think there's some truth to that. But in the defense of the Wild, I watched the third period. They had that crowd completely out of it for 15, 16 minutes. They had it completely under control. They weren't getting a lot of shots. They did hit a crossbar right before that would have made it 4-1. And I'm thinking, ooh boy, if the Avs do, because you're thinking all along, it doesn't take the Avs much to come up with a couple goals. They're so explosive. So I wouldn't blame any team for trying to play contained first. Don't give up any odd man rushes. Don't get into a track meet. Stay out of the box. They did all of that. And they're leading 3-1 with 3+ minutes to go. And they iced the puck when they shouldn't have. And then they didn't cover very well out top. They made a couple, and just Colorado made 2 plays. But it was stunning. It was stunning to have them. But the Avs right now just seem to be the team that is finding ways. They've got the depth. It wasn't the top guys completely. It was the depth guys were making plays for them too.
But that's what happens when you have a, top to bottom a good team.
The Avalanche have had 17 different goal scorers.
That shows you how
17.
deep their team is.
Yeah.
And like that, I've seen that in plenty of sports. I know you've seen it, Willie,
every
and Adam,
sport.
where, you got the lead, you're playing this high octane team, and it's almost like, let's not do anything wrong. Let's play not to lose.
Yeah.
And what happens? You end up getting out of sync. You end up getting out of rhythm. Now you put the car in neutral, and you expect just the coach play good defense, and all of a sudden they score a goal, score another one. It's like you can't turn it on anymore.
And the goal that Nathan McKinnon scored to tie the game. I mean, how many players can score that goal?
It was a great shot.
One.
It was a great shot.
It was a
But the guys on TNT
awesome
did
shot.
a good job, Chris Chelios in particular, and it just shows you the difference between TNT's coverage and ESPN's coverage. Chris Chelios was with ESPN for a while. I don't know what happened. I don't know how they do it, but Chris Chelios much more insightful with the TNT crew. I don't know if they're just teeing them up better or what, but he made a good point. He showed the defenseman, Jake Middleton for Minnesota, when McKinnon's got the puck, you can't give him that shot.
No.
He's too good of a shooter. He should have come out.
You got to press him.
Force him to give up the puck. Don't get beat by him there. Even though that is a shot normally, a normal shooter, you would allow them to shoot that because the chances of them putting in that hole are slim. That's a 1 out of 20 at best, maybe 1 out of 50 for some shooters. But for McKinnon, he's got a better chance of putting it in that hole. And the goalie, they pointed out as well, Wallstad, he went down just before he should have. He should have been more upright. McKinnon saw him hunch down a little bit. He opened up that little spot at the top of the goal and bing.
That's like being down 3 points with Steph Curry having the ball at midcourt, and you say, I'm not going to pick him up.
Right.
No, you get the ball out of his hands at midcourt. So he don't get up the court because he's the only guy that can shoot from midcourt and more than likely make it.
Yep.
the Avalanche's opponent in the Western Conference Final could be decided tonight. Vegas at Anaheim, an 8:30 p.m. Central puck drop. Vegas up 3-2. And Predators fans, I know that you do not want to root for the Vegas Golden Knights, but tonight you're going to want to root for the Vegas Golden Knights, because if the Vegas Golden Knights win tonight and eliminate the Anaheim Ducks, the Predators will receive a 2027 second-round pick from the Nick Hague trade last summer. It was a conditional third-round pick that turns into a second-round pick if Vegas wins 2 rounds. So if Vegas wins tonight and goes on to the Western Conference Final to take on Colorado, the Predators will add another second-round pick. So you may have to throw up in your mouth a little bit. You may have to shield your eyes a little bit. But go, Knights, go. Go, Knights, go. That's what you should be saying tonight if you're a Predators fan.
Root for Colton Sissons, Cole Smith,
Jeremy Lozon.
Jeremy Lozon. Yeah, just justify
Just
it.
root for those guys.
Yeah.
Right. So, again, if the Golden Knights win tonight and advance to the Western Conference Final, the Predators will receive a 2027 second-round pick courtesy of the Golden Knights from the Nick Hague trade. A conditional third-round pick that turns into a second-round pick if the Golden Knights win 2 rounds, which they can do if they win tonight. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Stanley Cup playoffs. But coming up next, last week we had a spirited discussion about possible, more than likely, college football playoff expansion. And I heard something from a league commissioner that made me sick to my stomach. And we'll talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Join the Chase and Big Joe show tomorrow from noon to 3 for the grand opening of Goodwood, Nashville, and their brand new location at 219 Lafayette Street. Chase and Joe will be giving away tickets to see Nashville Smash of the Team Boxing League take on the Boston Butchers at Municipal Auditorium on May 23rd. Goodwood, Nashville is the place to go for hardwood lumber with white oak, walnut, maple, poplar, and many more. They have it all. 15,000 square foot warehouse that you need to see. Visit them online at goodwoodnashville.com. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We are live at First Horizon Park. Sounds versus the Iowa Cubs. It is a gorgeous day. If you need something to do, may I suggest coming down to the ballpark and watching the Nashville Sounds face off against the Iowa Cubs. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today. Willie, I know you'll appreciate this. Remember when Vanderbilt hosted College Game Day and Nate Bargatze
Oh, yes, I did.
Yes.
was on the desk?
I was there.
He was the
Yes.
You were there. He was the guest picker, and he told Jared Curtis, who had not yet flipped from Georgia to Vanderbilt, "Hey kid, you want to be in a movie?"
Yes, he did.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? Nate Bargatze held up his end of the bargain. Clay Travis mentioned earlier today that Bargatze put Jared Curtis in his new movie, The Breadwinner, as part of Curtis's Vandy NIL deal. Curtis in a Vandy baseball cap is car shopping in the movie. So Nate Bargatze, he held up his end of the deal. That was part of Jared Curtis's NIL deal, apparently.
I guess that's how they made it work. But, hey, you got to love a man of his word.
Yeah.
Nate Bargatze.
I wonder if
Part
he
of the
gets it. Does he get any actors credit for that?
I
How
think
does- how does
he
that
has a
work in
speaking
that
part, right? He got to speak.
acting?
I think he would get a credit. Yeah.
How does that,
Can he
sort of
join
play out?
SAG-AFTRA?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, does he get
Exactly.
residuals? Like if this movie does really well, I don't know if the movie's good or not, but he's in there.
I thought about
You can tell his
this.
grandkids.
I
I was
was in a movie. I thought about this. Like, how creative are they going to have to get to, lure a 5 or 4 star individual, man or girl, man or woman, to their university? We've seen Bargatze do this. We've seen other things.
Yeah.
How far would the NCAA, even though they're not even an entity really anymore, Tommy's still there, but he ain't doing nothing. How long is the NCAA, or how much will the NCAA allow?
It's a good question because I just saw another story today about how the NCAA penalized Nebraska above and beyond what you get for the, and I still don't know all the nuances of how it works, but you have a certain amount that everybody gets, right? And then above and beyond that, you have to prove that if I'm paying you NIL, you have to be doing something for me. I'm using your name, image, and likeness. So Jared Curtis, I guess that checked out pretty easily. They paid him whatever he gets for being in a movie, and he did the work. He showed up. He was on camera. He said his lines.
But
So he
typically,
earned
that's
it.
nothing but a couple of $100 if you get one speaking line. That's not like it's
Maybe not for this movie.
hundreds of thousands
Maybe
of
not
dollars.
for this movie.
You're right.
But
you're a
that,
little
but that
extra.
would be more in bounds as opposed to, Adam, your job is to go water the field, and the field has automatic sprinkler systems. And you really don't have to show up, and you get the check. Like, you have to be supposedly doing the work. But I do think this is what the NCAA is having to do. Apparently, this goes on a lot, right? You have to justify if you're going outside of, what do they call it? I forget the clearinghouse or whatever. You have a clearinghouse, and then beyond that, the old collective, they are trying to police the dollars handed out. There's got to be something in return.
Well, they're not doing a good job at policing it.
Yeah, well, there was millions of dollars that Nebraska was supposed to be paying out 18 players or something, and NCAA said, no, this is not legit.
Our buddy Chad Withrow said, quote, "I was at the premiere last night. Not only does Curtis appear, he appears in the first 90 seconds of the movie and has a speaking part."
All right.
They got him in and got him out.
So he's got a fallback plan if it doesn't work out in the NFL.
Well, as long as he keep on producing.
But it wasn't just
the minute he stopped producing.
It wasn't just lip service from Nate Bargatze.
No, he was a man of his word.
He's
film.
a man of his word.
Exactly. I like that about but I mean, listen, I want these young men and women to be able to, because for years and decades, NCAA was making money off of these individuals, and it was hand over fist, and there was no checks and balances when it came to how much does the athlete deserve. It was all, you get an education. That's that's enough. So I'm not. Get whatever you can and whatever you're allowed to, but there has to be some guidelines, I think, and maybe those guidelines don't come until it's just a power 2 or something like that. I don't know, but they do need to get some guidelines because now it's movies. What is it going to be next? It's just going to keep on. What else Curtis was in a movie. What you gonna give me? Can I direct the movie?
Along similar lines, one texter says, I have a question for Derek. Did you ever do any local commercial in Nashville or Baltimore that you regret having done looking back?
No, because I didn't do many. I don't think there was any that I did do that I look back and I regret. No.
Local commercials starring professional athletes.
They usually come off kind of cheesy.
Oh, they're the worst. But they're also the best at the same time.
Yeah. I agree.
Because it's all about getting your face out, locally. It has nothing to do with a national. They hope eventually it becomes national. But local we're dealing with a local budget, and we're going to give you a little bit more than what we give everybody else. But as far as, like, how we're going to put it together, and that is not always going to be the best.
But are we going to – this, again – we're so early in this process, but the whole process of getting Jared Curtis to flip from Georgia to Vanderbilt over the course of 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I don't know what the full process was before he actually signed with Vanderbilt, but that happened fairly quick. And Diego Pavia, of course, had a huge role in that. And Nate Bargatze, as we see, had a little bit of a role in that. But that masterful job, this is just something that doesn't happen at Vanderbilt. And it did. And now we got to see if Jared Curtis can carry it out and play as well on the field as he looks like he has the potential to do.
Your move, Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
In Texas.
Got a movie coming out, Matthew?
Hey, don't tip Matthew now.
Put your money where your mouth is.
But Texas, of course, they're going to have a lot of trouble getting those athletes in because of the transfer rules and the academic restrictions at Texas.
Yes. I do want to take a moment before we get to Nick Suss of the Tennessean. I saw something yesterday that just made me sick to my stomach. I love my beloved Atlantic Coast Conference, despite the fact that it now includes teams in Texas and California. But I love my ACC. And ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, according to ESPN, backed a 24-team expanded college football playoff format on Wednesday, a move supported by the majority of the league's coaches and athletic directors. Here's the quote from Jim Phillips. I'll emphasize the part that made me sick to my stomach. Quote, when you're leaving national championship contending teams, what just happened?
His computer went down.
Well, you know what happened? Some spam call just completely ruined my train of thought. When you're leaving national championship contending teams out of the playoff, you don't have the right number. We suffered through it with Florida State when the field was 4, and I know other schools have suffered for it, and I've said this very directly. Notre Dame was a CFP-worthy team this year. If you're going to ask presidents and chancellors and boards to continue to invest in their football programs, it's really important that they have hope, that they have an opportunity at the beginning of the season to get into the playoffs. Spare me this hope.
Come on.
We need
goodness.
hope.
Come on.
Field a good team.
That's all you got to do.
Hope. We need hope.
That is
no.
brutal.
Well, every team goes in with hope that they're going to win the national championship. So
I don't know what was worse,
not,
that or Kirby Smart's word salad that he had the other day. It was just pathetic.
They're both on the same
We
level.
need
Come on.
hope. How
Every
about
team can walk
put
in and
together
say,
a good team and compete for the playoff? We talked about this last week. To me, in all sports, the more exclusive the postseason, the better it is for me. CBS Sports noted, quote, while the NCAA does not control the college football playoff, the postseason tournaments it oversees, including the FCS playoffs, generally allow entry to around 19% of the teams at that level. Currently, just 9% of FBS teams make the CFP, but expanding the field to 24 would raise that figure to 17.4%. To me, 9% is fine. The best of the best should be competing in the college football playoff. Don't devalue the regular season by making it easier for an 8-4 team to make the college football playoff, because you know where this is headed. But when I saw that from Jim Phillips, ACC commissioner, we just want our teams to have hope. Like, no. Put a good product on the field.
Well, they don't care about
all.
making it easy. They're the only thing they're worried about is making themselves wealthier, meaning the college football whole conglomerate. These universities, they're making money, and whether it's, they probably in their mind knows, hey, listen, it's really good now where it is. It's perfect. There's going to be some teams left out, and that's the way we want it. You don't want it where everybody can get in, and people going to stop coming. People going to stop watching. They're going to stop patronizing you because now everybody can get in. But if you have it where the top tier teams are getting in, meaning the top 12 or 14, that's great. And they understand it, but they also understand the economics of it, that, listen, people are going to watch football no matter what. If it ends up being a crappy game, people still are going to watch, and they know it. That's why I said the NFL, you just put the teams on television, you build it, and they will come. That's just the way it is.
Don't come at me with this hope nonsense.
Could somebody
GTFO
stop?
with that?
Could somebody keep it to 16? I don't want it to go to 16, but I could live with 16. I cannot live with 24.
There's one man who can save us all. It's
Joe
Greg
Rex
Sankey.
Road?
Well, Rex Road, he's up there. I would put Greg Sankey a little bit above Rex Road.
A little bit?
Greg Sankey.
Just a wee bit.
Yes, I would put Greg Sankey just above Rex Road on the power rankings of influence in college football. It's up to Greg Sankey. And also, I believe ESPN. I believe Phillips said that ESPN doesn't want it.
Yeah,
right. So it's up to Greg Sankey and ESPN. You're our only hope. Save us from a 2014 playoff. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Nick Suss of the Tennessean will join us. We'll ask him about the NFL schedule release and more regarding the local professional football team coming up next. 615-737-1025. The 615 Open Golf Tournament might be sold out, but you can bid on all kinds of awesome experiences to directly support Folds of Honor at 615open.com/auction. Have an unforgettable time while supporting a great cause. That's 615open.com/auction. Svingen and Donick, 102.5 The Game. All of our off-season coverage of the Tennessee Titans is presented by Tennessee Brewworks. Raise a glass with Tennessee Brewworks, proud partner and official craft beer of the football off-season coverage here on 102.5 The Game. And speaking of which, let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Nick Suss, Tennessee Titans beat reporter for the Tennessean. If I know Nick Suss, he is on pins and needles awaiting this NFL schedule release. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Hey, I absolutely remembered I agreed to do this. How are you guys?
Well, we're glad you did. Thank you for joining us, as always. So, Nick, Martin Scorsese himself could not have scripted a better Week 1 matchup than what has been reported. Jets at Titans in Week 1. There is no such thing as a must-win game in Week 1, of course. But is this a you better make damn sure you win game for Robert Saleh because of the narratives that will surely arise if the Titans lose?
Oh, sure. I mean, what it reminds me of is when I used to cover college football, I would tell people all the time that psychologically, if you're trying to determine who your biggest rival is, you should ask yourself, what matters more to me? The team that it feels the best to beat or the team that it feels the worst to lose to? And most of the time, people will say, the team that it feels the worst to lose to is my biggest rival. It's not about who it feels great to beat. It's about who it feels terrible to get beat by. And right now, of the 17 teams on the Titans schedule, the Jets are absolutely the team that it would feel worse to get beat by. Because of the trades the Titans have made, because of the general perception of the Jets as a franchise right now, because of the Saleh connection, because of the Jets not having a quarterback, because of all of this stuff, it would obviously look pretty darn bad if the team that everybody thinks is tanking to get a quarterback next year shows up on your home field and beats you Week 1. Now, I'm going to downplay the Saleh revenge element of it. I think that matters a lot more to the Jets than it does to the Titans. But if we're talking purely from a how important is it to prove that you're actually better than the New York Jets perspective, yeah, that's huge.
Nick, yesterday we were talking about strength of schedule and just how unpredictable an NFL season is. The Titans were supposed to have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL last season. It ended up working out that they had one of, if not the hardest schedule in the NFL by season's end. So you look at this schedule, leaks out, Jets at Titans in Week 1, Titans at Giants in Week 3. I think it was reported that the Eagles are coming to town in Week 2. Once the schedule comes out and you start looking at the matchups, what will you be looking for to assess whether this could be an advantageous schedule for the Titans?
Good question. I think that you probably want to see a clear path to winning games in December and January. You want to see a schedule that is sequenced, that you can end the season with a good taste in your mouth, which is something that the Titans have not been super great at these last 4 years. They did pick things up a little bit last year, but they obviously ended the season on the Cam Ward injury note that soured things. But you, with such a young team, with a team that nobody's really expecting to be in the postseason, you want to stack your wins toward the back half of the season. And look, nobody wants to start 1-5, but if you start 1-5 and finish 6-11, it feels a lot better heading into a more pivotal 2027 season than it would be if you start 5-1 and finish 6-11. So I tend to, when you're talking about a team like the Titans that isn't necessarily somebody I have pegged to compete for a playoff spot, I would really like to see the favorable matchups, the favorable home games in the second half of the season, so you can feel like you have something good building into Saleh's year 2, into Cam Ward's year 3, et cetera, et cetera.
We're talking with Nick Suss of the Tennessean. Now, Nick, we were discussing whether how many primetime games will the Titans get. And listen, I am hoping that they get at least 1 to 2, but it looks like that may not happen. But shouldn't the Titan fans have a gripe against the NFL? Because even between because even between the years of 2015 and 2025, there was a period in there, a 5-year period, where they were one of the best teams in the National Football League, even so much so that they had the number 1 seed with a marquee player, and they still were not featured on prime time as much as you thought a team like that should be featured. So they got an excuse now because of the last 2 seasons, but I think Titans should have a true gripe with the NFL when it comes to how they've marketed this team. They always talk about Nashville as a great city, but they don't market the team the way they talk about the city.
I am of 2 minds about this, and I don't want to be incredibly unpopular on public radio, so I'm going to feel bad about what I'm about to say. It is not the NFL's job to market and publicize the Tennessee Titans. It's the Tennessee Titans' job to market and publicize the Tennessee Titans. And look, at points when the Titans were winning, and at points when the Titans were number 1 seed in the AFC, when Derrick Henry was one of the faces of the league, et cetera, they were not playing primetime games in Nissan Stadium. The Titans haven't hosted a scheduled, non-flexed Sunday night football game since 2009. That feels anomalous. That feels like it shouldn't be the case, especially for a team that has made a few postseason runs in that time and been pretty good, all that stuff. But I don't necessarily see it as the league's job to put the Titans out there for more people to see. It's the Titans' job to make the league put them out there. And whether that's by building a brand new stadium, whether that's by going and investing in flashy players, whether that's by generating narrative, NFL is about as is the phrase capitalism coded as any institution can be. It rewards the things that it knows will reward it back, whether that's with eyeballs or with finances or attention or whatever you want to call it. And the Titans have not necessarily been the franchise that they can count on to be the cash cow that the Dallas Cowboys are, or that the Pittsburgh Steelers are, or whichever team you pick that has a bigger brand. And I don't know if it should be the NFL's responsibility to put more of a showcase so that the Titans could be that, so much as it is the Titans' job to be undeniable.
Now, with all these moving parts in the AFC South, with Daniel Jones, they don't know how he's going to come back off his injury with Indianapolis. How will Houston look? I mean, C.J. Stroud seemed to take a step back. He doesn't look like the quarterback he was at the beginning of his rookie campaign. You got Jacksonville. Is Jacksonville, really that team now that can take that next step? Can Trevor Lawrence take the next step? What do you think the storyline amongst the AFC South will be ultimately?
Ultimately, I think it ends up being Houston. I think that Houston has enough talent on that roster to be a Super Bowl contender in a very sincere, legitimate way. I think they're probably going to have top to bottom the strongest defense in the league. I still think very highly of C.J. Stroud. I still think very highly of that passing attack. They might be a little bit one-dimensional roster-wise, but I still think that their passing attack is strong enough to overcome being one-dimensional. From there, I think the Jaguars are a really prime regression candidate this year. They lost a lot in free agency. They didn't have the strongest draft. They already overperformed expectations last year. I don't know if they're a 12 or 13 win team again, so much as I think of them as probably closer to that 7, 8, 9 win range. The Colts are such a question mark to me because when you don't have really anyone on roster at a premium position who is a top 10 talent at that position, you do have the question marks. And I guess Sauce Gardner is there and can be the top 10 corner. But beyond that, there's not a lot to think, oh, this player is going to win in this moment. This player is going to make the play we need to win the game. So ultimately, I think we're going to be talking about the Texans a lot more than we're talking about the Colts and the Jaguars. And we'll see if the Titans can make up ground. We'll see if the Titans can come up and be in that same 7, 8, 9 range that the Colts and Jaguars might be in. I still think they're a little bit behind, but I'm not like 100% behind. They're gaining ground. We'll see how much.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Nick Suss from the Tennessean as we await the schedule coming out. Here's one thing that Nick, you don't know if it's going to be a factor or not, but I see where Malik Neighbors had a second knee procedure. They're still hopeful he could play in week 1, but with the Titans, did you say week 3 they're playing them, Adam?
Yes.
I'm wondering what the state of Malik Neighbors will be coming off a major, even if he's playing, coming off a major surgery that less he's not that less removed. Like they always say the first year coming back from ACL is always challenging. The backdrop of that game is going to be just as interesting, I think, as the Jets with Daboll and all of the maneuverings between those two franchises.
Don't forget Brian Callahan.
Yeah.
No, I think that game's going to be really interesting. That is a game that, frankly, I am a little bit surprised is allegedly not getting the primetime treatment. That felt like a nice Monday night kind of game. But yeah, if Malik Neighbors isn't healthy, that changes the calculus for the Giants. That really does. I think that when we go back to what we were all talking about during the coaching search, and when we go back to, well, why did John Harbaugh pick the Giants over any of these other vacancies? The Giants have a lot of top-end talent at the most important positions on the field. You feel confident about their number one receiver. You feel confident about their left tackle. You feel confident about their pass rushers. You feel confident about their cornerback room. They have all of that, and the question is, can Jackson Dart be the right guy to make it go? So I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, the Giants are absolutely going to be favored even if Malik Neighbors isn't 100%. But I still think with or without, whether it's 100% of Malik Neighbors or 75% of Malik Neighbors, I still think the Giants are a team I would put maybe a rung higher than the Titans, especially if it ends up being true and they play early in the season. I do think that whoever the Giants personnel is, they should have a stronger roster at an early enough point in the season where two teams with brand new coaching staffs are trying to figure out how to win on more than just talent.
How do you feel about a game being played on Thanksgiving Eve?
Which is a real thing and not a made-up thing at all.
I was ranting about this morning, and I will continue to rant about it. The best thing the NFL's done in the last 20 years was the invention of the Red Zone channel. And the more games you move off of Sunday, the worse the product of the Red Zone channel gets. I don't get to watch it. I'm sitting in the press box. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I miss it because I don't get to watch it. I'm watching the Titans. But if I was a casual fan and I was tasked between, do I want to watch Packers versus Rams as a solo product on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, or do I want that game to be in the 3:05 window with three other really cool games one weekend? I'd pick the 3:05 window every time. And so I don't love the NFL manifest destiny of every day of the week has to be the NFL's day of the week.
You're here.
But the league does not cater to the whims of the 1% audience that they already have hooked and addicted. They're trying to grow the game. And we, who are talking about the NFL on May 14th, probably are not the audience they're trying to win over. They have already won us over.
What do you think the odds are, Nick, that Jarvis Brownlee commits a defensive holding penalty on the Jets' first defensive series in Week 1 against the Tennessee Titans?
Specifically defensive holding, or am I allowed to have like illegal contact or hands to the face?
I think you can throw them all in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's any defensive penalty, I'll say 30%.
That's high.
It's actually lower than I thought you would say.
It's still high based on one person.
It's gotta happen.
Let me say this. I really, really enjoyed the time with Jarvis in the locker room. He was a go-to interview. He is a guy who says what he thinks, and I would absolutely never, as a reporter, encourage people to not say what they think. So good on Jarvis for having opinions. I hope he has all sorts of opinions.
I absolutely agree with that sentiment. Nick Suss of the Tennessean has been our guest on Dmase, Vingan, and Donick. Nick, as always, a pleasure. I know you're just waiting for that schedule to drop. We look forward to your analysis. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, guys.
615-737-1025. We will react to what Nick Suss had to say. Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, will join us at the top of the hour. 615-737-1025. Boxing fans, 1025 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win tickets to see Nashville Smash take on the Boston Butchers at Municipal Auditorium on Saturday, May 23rd. 16 rounds and 16 fighters each go at it for 1 round of nonstop action. Text the keyword FIGHT, FIGHT, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter now for your chance to win. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you live at First Horizon Park. Nashville Sounds hosting the Iowa Cubs tonight. First pitch, 6:35. You can hear that game on 94.9 The Fan. Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, will join us at the top of the hour. And I'm looking forward, as always, I always look forward to talking to Elliotte Friedman. But I am really looking forward today because on the latest episode of 32 Thoughts, the podcast, he said he's taking it personally that he can't crack the code on the Predators GM search. And now I'm just imagining him as that meme of Michael Jordan from The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Which I'll mention to him because I think he'll appreciate it because he is a big basketball fan. But we'll see what Elliotte Friedman has to say about the Predators GM search. Another GM was hired today. The Vancouver Canucks hired Ryan Johnson as their GM, and the Sedin twins are in the front office as co-presidents or something like that. So all of the other teams are hiring GMs.
Okay, I'm going to ask y'all a question because now that has happened, and we're still trying to figure out, well, do they have their guy in mind already or they're waiting on someone else? Wouldn't it start to lean toward more so they have their guy now and they're just waiting on something else? Because what if that guy, unless they've made this deal with them on the side and say, when you finish, we're going to do this contract? Because if that's not the case, then you're putting yourself in a position to, when it comes to the end, that guy you thought you were going to get may not be there anymore. So
my theory is that they are waiting on somebody specific to become
GM
eligible.
Or somebody else, some other title.
It's hard to know.
Can I throw a theory at you?
Yeah.
And
but I'm not that stressed about it. I know a lot of people
you're
are
not
like,
stressed about
oh my
it.
gosh, all these other teams have hired their guys. Who cares?
Okay, look.
As long as you get it right. Like if the guy does a bad job, then that's a whole other thing.
As I said yesterday, I think there's going to be pressure on the new GM to do a good job because of how long this search has taken. Here's a theory I'm going to ask Elliotte about. And we've this is not a new theory. A few weeks ago, Elliotte reported on Hockey Night in Canada that the Predators reached out to the Hurricanes GM, Eric Tulsky, requesting permission to interview him for the job. They were denied. Is it possible that the person the Predators could be waiting for is another team's actual GM?
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. I'm wondering what Elliotte has to say about that. We'll ask him that at the top of the hour.
Even with that, what if they don't get him and you've waited?
Yeah. I do think we talked about this yesterday, but I'll reiterate. I understand the point of view that the Predators have a GM right now in Barry Trotz. It's not like they're operating without a GM. He's retiring, but he's still in the chair until they hire a replacement. I understand. Elliotte and I have discussed this. He's discussed it on his podcast. What's taking so long? And I understand the point of they want to make sure they get this right. They will take as long as possible to make sure they get this right. At the same time, I do think there's an element of, okay, you're taking a long time to get this right. You better be right if it's taking this long.
But you better be right anyway. You better be right, period.
You better be right, period. I do
so
think,
to me, it doesn't matter how
I
you arrive.
The length
you
of
better
time,
be right.
I do think the length of time adds to the pressure just a little bit.
Okay, I don't think so.
Okay, here's another lead question.
Sure.
Because is this particular, say like the Hurricanes GM, is this contract over after the season?
I've wondered all these things.
It's like, can you talk to an agent? Can you talk to a GM that is already under contract and he has multiple years? Because I think
that's why you need permission.
If you get permission.
But why would the Hurricanes give permission for you to talk to a GM that put together a team that looks like going to the Stanley Cup?
That's a good question.
Well, the theory might be, look, there was a report saying today, and I don't know if there's any credibility or not, that the The Predators didn't offer a lot of. They're not offering big bucks compared to some other jobs. I have no idea if that's true. That doesn't sound like Bill Haslam to me, but in theory, a GM could be thinking, well, my contract's up June 1st. I don't know. Maybe it could be that.
Okay.
And maybe at that point you become a free agent and you're ready to get out because maybe you feel like you've been underpaid for the job you've done. I'm thinking that could be Carolina or maybe another sitting GM. I don't know.
But I'm just thinking about, tampering rules where you can't talk to a GM that is currently under contract unless his contract is coming to its end after the season or playoffs. So if he still has multiple years on his contract, how then if indeed that's who they want to hire, how would they hire him? Because if I'm Carolina, I'm ownership, I'm like, no, you can't talk to my GM.
Well, that's what reportedly happened. The Predators reached out to the Hurricanes, wanted to talk to Tulsky, and the Hurricanes said no.
How many other GMs right now that are still playing that could potentially they can be waiting on that contract extends past this year?
I unfortunately do not know contract statuses of other GMs around the league. I'm sure there's a database.
And is
somewhere.
there a standard date that everybody?
Well, usually June 30th is when NHL contracts expire because the league year starts on July 1st.
And does that apply to GMs or coaches?
These are all good questions.
Yeah, ask that. I mean, we can ask Elliotte.
You can also ask me, but I would ask Elliotte. He knows more than I do, and we'll talk to Elliotte at the top of the hour. One texter says, first time I've heard Nick Suss on the radio. Legendary content. Funny guy. Nick Suss is a funny guy. Dry wit, sharp as a tack. That's why we have him on the show. We appreciate Nick coming on the program. I sent that to Suss himself. He says, tell whoever that is that I'm proud to be the entertainment he needs at 4 p.m. on a Thursday.
See, we aim to please.
Exactly.
All calculated.
We aim to please. But I'm not going to be able to do Nick's line justice. But I thought his answer to my question about the reported week 1 matchup between the Jets and the Titans was really good. Talking about the aspect of a rivalry, and your rival is the team you want to lose to the least. Now, I would not consider the Jets and Titans rivals, but the point remains. The one team Robert Saleh probably doesn't want to lose to, especially in his first game as Titans head coach, is the New York Jets, which is why it feels like there's a lot more riding on a week 1 game against 2 bad teams than usual.
Well, it's a lot riding on the first game anyway from a sort of fan perspective. Now, if you're talking about an organizational perspective, I mean, every game is big because it ultimately leads to either you being in the playoffs or not. But if you're just asking Titans fans, considering what has happened over the last 3 years and the changing of guards and everything else, if the season doesn't start off on a winning note against a bad team that was bad last year, I mean, it's going to take a lot to kind of talk Titans fans off the ledge, I believe.
The first impression is always going to be important. But I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. It will be a big story in the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Mike Vrabel's first game the weird game in Miami
where they played for
storm,
like 20 hours?
Yeah, and the storm hit and everything. That game was disastrous.
Yeah.
But Mike Vrabel survived, and they won a lot of games after that game. So,
But you also have to add in the element of New York and the pressure that comes in New York and how much people in New York are going to be talking about that game and hyping up that game. Oh, it's Robert Saleh. Let's see if he's any good. He was so bad here. It's different. I understand it would be different if the game were there versus here. But I do think when you add in the New York media market, all of the reporters who cover the Jets, all of the reporters who are going to be writing about this, I do think that adds that little extra element.
Oh, it's going to be
as well.
Fantastic.
Yes.
It's going to be great theater in the moment. I just think if they were to lose that game, which they could, it's not going to. It shouldn't be the end-all defining moment for Robert Saleh.
It shouldn't be. However,
Let's remember.
It'll be a strike against him.
yes.
Let's remember. Ken Wisenhunt won his first game.
He did. He did win his first game.
You see what happened to him.
His quarterback looked pretty good.
Exactly. After that, it all fell apart.
Didn't go well after that.
One texter says, with the number of Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games in the NFL, along with the Monday doubleheaders, which I don't believe exist anymore, extra holiday games, Saturday games after the NCAA regular season, there are more than enough games for each NFL team to have at least one home and one away game as a standalone game. With the international games, there are a lot of opportunities for the NFL to showcase their premium teams more than twice a season. I don't recall. Why did the NFL stop mandating that every team play on primetime at least once?
I have no
I
idea.
don't know.
Maybe because some of the ratings
Maybe
were,
because Amazon paid so much money to get in the mix,
Yeah.
and so they had to accommodate them. Then there was the Netflix games. Like maybe they just needed more flexibility and more choices for those, instead of saying, "Hey, thanks for all that money you just did. I'm going to stick you with the games between the Jaguars and the Titans and the games that are, maybe are not as attractive to a group that just forked over tons of money for the rights." I'm guessing that's got something to do with it.
they got away with it, I think, for some years because they put the games on NFL Network. So they were trying to add content to their own broadcast. So having every team on was a good thing. But once, like Willie said, once Amazon and all these other people start coming in, it was like, well, we don't want to see this team and this team. We would rather see this team playing this team. So, all right, now you take them off NFL Network and you put them on Amazon or YouTube TV, and you're making more money. So you got to give them what they want, in a sense, is a competitive game in their eyes.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction on the NFL schedule. It's going to be released soon. Take a deep breath. It's almost here. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL insider, will join the program. He is in Buffalo, New York, where the Sabres and Canadiens will meet in Game 5 of the second round. We'll catch up with Elliotte, what he's hearing on the Predators GM search, and more coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in Sportsnet NHL insider Elliotte Friedman, who is presented each week by Old National Bank and Green Ventures Landscaping. Elliotte, I heard what you said on your podcast this week about how you're taking it personally, that you have not been able to crack the code of the Predators GM search, and now I'm just imagining you as that meme of Michael Jordan from The Last Dance.
I took that personally. Yes, that's definitely true. Well, it was funny. Somebody called me this week and they said that Bill Haslam wasn't happy at getting how much of it was coming out, so he's enjoying the fact that he's torturing me for a change.
Any new information since your podcast published on Wednesday?
So I don't think so. I mean, the one thing I do know for sure is that there was at least one or two more people that they were planning on talking to. And I know that there was some speculation this week about Darren York, who I was really happy to see get an interview after 17 years in Carolina. I don't believe that's true. I do believe they had interest in Ryan Johnson, who was hired as the GM in Vancouver today, since he makes Tennessee his off-season home. But, obviously that's off the table. So I'm still trying to figure out if there's another person they're waiting to talk to. I'll say this. There's been a couple of people around the NHL at the World Championships said they heard some rumors about Mark Bergevin. Unless that's new, I didn't get that sense early. So that would have to be like, it definitely wasn't trending that way before. I don't know if I buy it right now, but it's definitely making it. I had two or three people who were overseas said they heard some rumors about it. And, he's with Buffalo, who's still playing, but I don't know. That would be a change. That's all I would say. That would be a change from where they initially were.
As you know, Elliotte, because of how long this search has been taking, we've been filling time with as many theories as we can come up with. And here's one for you. A few weeks ago on Hockey Night in Canada, you reported the Predators sought permission to interview Hurricanes GM Eric Tulsky and were denied by the Hurricanes. Is it possible that this person or persons they're waiting to speak to is a current GM of a playoff team?
I have wondered about that. I just don't know who it would be. I guess anything is possible. And like I said, I have no problem with how long this has taken. Like, I actually agree with Haslam on this one. Apparently he said, we have time and we have to get this right. I think he's right about that. I mean, I have wondered that, but, it was funny. I was talking about this with somebody else the other day, Adam. It was like, we were going through names and we were saying, do you think it could be this guy or do you think it could be that guy? And the guy said to me, can you imagine the chaos that you would cause if you guessed one of these names, like on your podcast or on the air? So I laughed and I said, there's no chance I'm doing it unless I know for sure. Believe me, we've wondered about all of this stuff, all of it.
I do want your opinion on what people are saying around the league about how long this has taken, because I hear what you're saying. I hear what Bill Haslam is saying. The Predators are going to take as long as they need to get this right. But when you talk to people around the NHL, do they mention the length of the search? Do they say, this is taking longer than I thought?
Yes. I definitely hear that. I definitely hear that it's like, what are they doing? I have heard that. And the other thing, too, that is really unusual about it is that, somebody was saying, maybe they don't want to speak to a current assistant of a team that's playing right now. And we all thought it was weird because they've had permission to speak to a lot of these people in the past. So it didn't really make a lot of sense to all of us. I think the simplest answer really is, Adam, that they interviewed a lot of people And I think they thought some people were pretty good. And I think some people had good interviews with them and they were interested in getting to know them a little bit better. But I don't know that there was anybody that really grabbed Bill Haslam and made him say, I absolutely have to 100% hire this person at this time. And sometimes I think it's like the simplest answer is the real answer. And that's my working theory right now, that there were people who impressed him and there were people he liked, but there was nobody who made him say, I have to hire this person right now at this time.
We're talking with Elliotte Friedman, 32 Thoughts podcast. Now, Elliotte, we know that there's no tampering when it comes to players, especially those that are under
Derek, it never happened.
I know it never happens, but you're not supposed to do that while they're under contract.
That's right.
What is the procedure when it comes to GMs? Because if it's true that the Predators asked for permission to talk to the Hurricanes GM and they said no, if he's still under contract past this season, do they still are allowed to interview him? It seemed like it would almost be a lateral move.
You can act like Derek. You can ask for permission to talk to anybody. There's nothing wrong with that. But once they say no to someone who's under contract, there's nothing you can do about it. As a matter of fact, there's pretty serious penalties if you take a contract or try to take a contract with another team if you're employed by one. Like the new GM of the Maple Leafs, John Chaika, he was suspended for trying to interview with New Jersey when he was in Arizona. And a guy who's in the Hall of Fame now, Pat Quinn, he was the coach of the LA Kings in the 80s, and he agreed to be the new GM of the Vancouver Canucks while he was coaching the Kings, and he got suspended for a year. So there are pretty big penalties for that. You can't, Derek, if you're under contract and the team says no, you better listen, or if they catch you, you're in big trouble.
Now, with that being said, Elliotte, if we all know that, why would it then be, the Predator waiting for someone else's GM? Because if that is indeed the case, what if the team again says, nope, we're not, especially a team in the playoffs? Hey, listen, we're doing good. We don't want to change our GM. So wouldn't you think that, at least from a GM standpoint, they already have their guy in mind that they're going to hire, a guy that is not under contract with another team? And they're waiting on something else.
I think it's always possible, Derek. I mean, if it's a current GM, like the one thing I do know, Derek, and you've been around pro sports long enough to know this, is there's no tampering, but there's always okay, let's just say Derek Mason was the GM of the Titans and you wanted to talk to a guy who's, say, the coach of the Eagles, okay? Well, you might know somebody who is friendly with that coach of the Eagles, and you might call them and say, hey, you think that guy would be interested in our job, or should I not even bother? Like, that kind of stuff, I think, happens all the time, and it should. You should be collecting information like that. So I think it's still, it's possible that they know something about some candidate out there that we don't know. So you wait, and I think it's possible that is the truth.
Elliotte Friedman's with us. So, Elliotte, along those lines, is it standard when all GM contracts expire? Is it on June 30th, or could it just as easily be May 15th or something for a particular person?
I think usually what happens is you wait until the end of their season. Now, all end on June 30th. The NHL year is July 1st to June 30th. So if your contract is up somewhere, it technically expires on June 30th. But you could always be in a situation where if you want to talk to somebody when their season ends, or Nashville talked to a whole bunch of people during the season, but they had permission to do it. Now you'd wait until the end of their season, or if their contract's up at the end of the year, a team could say you've got to wait until June 30th or July 1st.
So we're theorizing on how you would arrive or at somebody that is still working but wants the job, or maybe has had back channel conversations. contractually to get around these things.
Or
but
maybe they're just waiting. Maybe they're just waiting. Maybe I'm trying to figure out if they've hired somebody who's working for another team and they're waiting. That's another thing we've been doing, is just waiting to see, who it could be. But the one thing I did hear this week, before Ryan Johnson was hired, because I definitely think he was on their radar if he didn't get the Vancouver job, was that they were still waiting to talk to somebody else.
So, Elliotte, speaking of permission, what an interesting chain of events involving Bruce Cassidy and that coming out, putting the Edmonton Oilers kind of behind the eight ball, and now they have fired their coach and Chris Knobloch. So where does that go from here? And where does Cassidy go?
Well, the thing I heard, the last I checked earlier today, Bruce Cassidy still didn't have permission to talk to anybody. And Willie, I think there's a few things. I think ultimately he will be. I think I'd heard that maybe the Golden Knights wanted to wait until their playoff series with Anaheim was over. They're playing Game 6 tonight. Also, I think the Golden Knights are playing some head games with some people too. So I think all of this is a factor. I think ultimately they'll get permission to talk to him. I think LA is very interested in him too, Willie. So I think that's a problem. They're going to have to compete with LA for the job. And I think the other thing too is they've really backed themselves into a corner, because they have to get him now. Like, they wanted to keep this private, and I think they only wanted to fire Knobloch if they got someone better. Well, it got out. It forced their hand, and now Cassidy's going to have a lot of leverage in Edmonton. I wish I had this much leverage in my next contract negotiation, but they got a lot of leverage with him.
Now, can Vegas do it simply to block a good coach, a winning coach, from going to a division rival? It's rare. Willie, I was looking for other situations where this has happened. There aren't a lot of them. Vegas a couple years ago blocked their AHL head coach twice from taking NHL assistant jobs. So there is some history in the organization of doing it, but it's rare, very rare. And we'll see where it goes. Vegas, they're willing to do some things that other teams won't do. I think there's a couple of factors here. Number one, like I said, they're still playing. And number two, I think also, Cassidy makes $4.5 million, and there's a mechanism in the NHL that you have to, if you hire someone who's being paid by another team, you can't just pay the guy $1. You've got to pay him a market rate. So I've also heard that Vegas might want assurances that if someone hires Cassidy, they won't owe him anything. And so I just think there's a little bit of mental gymnastics here. They have him under contract. They're well within their right to do it. But I'll just say this, guys, it almost never happens. Now, Elliotte, with Game 5 coming up tonight, Buffalo and Montreal, we have to know if you have gotten your hands on one of these beer sabers that's being hawked on eBay for like $300 a pop, this piece of plastic, whatever you put 20 ounces of beer in. These things are a hot commodity now all of a sudden. Did you get one?
They are. So I'll tell you, after game number 1, we were doing a stand-up. Sabres won that game. And I asked the fan if I could borrow theirs. And they looked at me and said, "You're going to give it back, right?" And I said, yes, I will give it back. So I used it as a prop, but I had to return it.
That is a bummer that you couldn't grab that thing and bootleg it down your pant leg or something, because I guess they'll be flowing freely in this game tonight. What a great series that's becoming.
Yeah, it's really good hockey. It's interesting that Sabres have spent the last two days complaining about diving and embellishment for Montreal. So even the players were telling me today the coaches haven't stopped complaining about it in Buffalo. So we'll see we'll see if they get any calls like that this evening. Going to be a great game. We're about 15 minutes away from going on the air for our pregame games in 45 minutes. Like, it's already Like, you can feel the energy in this building tonight. It's fantastic.
Quickly, Elliotte, before we let you go for your pregame duties, where do the Minnesota Wild go from here this offseason after a devastating elimination loss last night?
Well, you know what, Adam? Like that Colorado team. You know, I don't know if you're an Avengers movie guy, but what did Thanos say? Like, I'm inevitable. Like, they look inevitable right now. Like, they
do.
Like, you know, like I thought Minnesota played pretty well, but they got beat. Like, that team. You know, everybody has injuries. They had two big ones. Erickson, the center, being out really hurt them, because that's where Colorado is super deep down the middle. They're just too good. And I think the biggest thing is, look, I think they'll go out and they'll try to find another center. I don't think there's any question about that. But those are really hard to find. I think the number one thing is, can they get Quinn Hughes extended, who they traded for this year? Until I'm proven wrong, Adam, I say he extends for 3 years.
Okay. Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL Insider, has been our guest on Dmase, Ving, and Adonik. He joins us every Thursday and is presented by Old National Bank and Green Ventures Landscaping. Elliotte, as always, a pleasure. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll catch up next week.
All right, guys. Thanks very much. Have a great week. And I'm not finished with you yet, Predators. I got to figure this out.
Thank you, Elliotte. 615-737-1025. We will react to what Elliotte had to say. There was a name he mentioned in there that some Predators fans on our text line are not happy about. We'll get to that next and wrap up the show. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, if you lived in the Middle Tennessee area for any time, you've seen how wild our weather can be, from winter storms, tornadoes, to flooding. We've seen it all. Like many of you, the winter storm earlier this year caught me unprepared and off guard. I lost power for 7 days. That's 7 days out of my house, 7 days paying for a hotel and worrying about whether my pipes were going to burst or not. That's when I realized being prepared isn't optional. I will be ready the next time a weather emergency happens. I started looking around for whole home generators and found Tri-State Water Power and Air. They've been in business for over 30 years, specializing in generations for more than half of those, which is all great. But the reason I chose to go with them was because of the reviews and the confidence other homeowners shared about their experience with Tri-State Water Power and Air. When Tri-State came to the house, they gave a free on-site assessment and made sure the generator fit my home for me and my family's needs. The thing I appreciated the most is that they didn't try to oversell me on a unit. Listen, they gave me exactly what I needed for my home, just straight to the answers, turnkey, and listen, they handle everything from installation to long-term service. If something ever goes wrong, I'm not calling around. I'm making one call to Tri-State Water Power and Air, because they've got it covered and got me covered. That's the kind of relationship I want, and I know that's the kind of relationship you want. So look, the weather isn't slowing down any. Be ready. Call Tri-State Water Power and Air today and protect your home and your family. Find them at tristatewhiteweight.com. That's tristatewhiteweight.com.
Dmase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We are at First Horizon Park. Sounds versus Cubs. First pitch at 6:35. You can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan. Coming up in just a few moments, Vanderbilt baseball takes on Louisville at Hawkins Field's first pitch is coming up. Not Louisville, I'm sorry. Why does it say Louisville? It says Louisville on the thing. It's not Louisville. It's South Carolina. Oh, well. Game's coming up.
It's
coming up. No,
There's a game coming up. The Vanderbilt Commodores are playing someone. They're playing South Carolina. The read says Louisville. So I'm going to blame it on the read. That's okay.
Blame it on the read.
That's okay. We appreciate Elliotte Friedman, as always, joining us on the program. As you said, like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. He's taking it personally that he can't crack the code. But something tells me Elliotte will eventually figure it out. What I thought was funny, guys, was when Elliotte mentioned he had heard some rumors from the World Championship that Mark Bergevin, former Canadiens GM, could be involved. We had one texter say, if it's Bergevin, I will demand a fan trade. We had another commenter say, the protest at 501 Broadway from my apartment in Vancouver. That's how far Predemption on our YouTube chat would travel to protest the hiring of Mark Bergevin. I don't know what the problem would be with Mark Bergevin. He was a successful GM in Montreal.
To a point.
To a degree.
He took a lot of heat, just like every GM who eventually loses his job. But my question back to these people who have a particular problem with the GM who just got fired fairly recently. Are you writing off every GM? Like, who would be the GM who has experience that you would take that's available right now? Because no GM is going to bat 1,000, right? And everybody's going to emphasize what got that person fired in Montreal or in New Jersey, whatever. So I would throw that out there. Would you take Bergevin over Tom Fitzgerald?
Yes,
you would.
I would.
Because why?
I think he has a longer track record of success. I believe he took 6 teams to the playoffs in 10 years. I think he's got a better drafting record than Tom Fitzgerald. He's had more cracks at it, for context. But to me, if I'm looking at the two resumes, I would say Bergevin has been a more successful NHL GM than Tom Fitzgerald. So if you're asking me to pick between the two, I would pick Bergevin over Tom Fitzgerald.
So he has not been a GM since 2021.
Yes, he worked for the Kings, I want to say.
Yes.
And now he's with Buffalo in some capacity, working with Jarmo Kekalainen with the Sabres. Correct. So he's bounced around the league a little bit, but he hasn't been in the big chair in, as you said, about 5 years. But he was on one end of the PK Subban for Shea Weber trade.
He was.
And that worked out to it'll be funny to look back on that trade. Well, we could probably look back on it now because both players are retired.
That is a really interesting one to go through. I don't know if anybody won the trade. I think both sides got a lot of what they were looking for.
I would agree. I mean, I would. Shea
Weber's contract still exists,
Yes.
which is really the only reason why they made that trade anyway.
Yes. I think PK Subban had more individual success than Shea Weber when he was with the Predators. He was a Norris Trophy finalist, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
1 year he was here. And, of course, the Predators won the President's Trophy, went to the Stanley Cup final. But Shea Weber also went to the Stanley Cup final.
He was there for 3 years. They went Stanley Cup final, President's Trophy.
Division winner, right?
Division winner. I mean, those are the 3 best Predator teams ever. So PK Subban did well for the Preds. And then the following year, then they traded him, right?
Yes.
And they traded his contract. So that was, I guess, good mileage for what they got from Subban. And then it ended by trading his contract. They didn't get a whole lot for it, but they offloaded the whole contract. Whereas the reason that they were concerned about Shea Weber was
his health.
His health and the contract. He was older than PK.
Yes.
Although PK's health, ironically, declined pretty quick
It did.
after he left the Predators. So they got off the ride at the perfect time in terms of his career arc. They got 3 productive seasons out of him and then traded him. But the reason they even considered trading a great player like Shea Weber was because of the contract. It was going to be sitting on somebody's shoulders for so long. So getting that off the books was everything.
Don't disrespect Steven Santini, Willy Donick. He was a part of that Devils Predators trade.
And Jeremy Davies.
Yes. It was a cap dump. And then the Predators,
second round pick in there somewhere.
the Predators
which I think
used that money towards signing Matt Duchene.
Right.
That offseason.
Which they wouldn't. All right. That was the strategy.
Yes. So the NFL schedule, the release is it's coming up. Maybe at the top of the hour, I think. But as we have discussed throughout the show, the Titans are reportedly opening the season at home against the New York Jets. All right, let's go around the table quickly.
Yes.
Let's make one fun prediction about the Titans schedule. I'll go first. The final home game at Nissan Stadium, the old Nissan Stadium, will be against the Indianapolis Colts. That's my prediction. I'll call it a fun prediction. Thank you, David. The final home game at Nissan Stadium will be against the Indianapolis Colts.
And what will be at stake in that game?
Draft position?
Oh, wow. Goodness.
I don't. These last few years, there have been, and every team has got some years where not much is going on at the end of the year if you're out of it. But man, that stadium in late December or early January with not much on the line, where it's cold, that is just not an appealing place
Do you
to
think
go.
people that final home game, when that final home game at the old Nissan Stadium is approaching? I know you've got the shiny new one right behind it, and we've complained about the shape of old Nissan Stadium for years. But do you think people will get the warm and fuzzies?
No.
Okay. Period.
Not about the stadium.
Period.
Now,
The
if they're having a good year and
Yeah.
they've won some games and they have something at stake, that
It'll
will
be
change
different. Yeah,
it. But
Period.
for the
Yes.
stadium itself, I don't think there'll be any of that.
Well, I guess
Just because of what the Titans have put into it, which is nothing.
I think there will be a sentimental value because we're 2 years off, 2 seasons off, this season and then next season, then they move. I believe.
Well, no, this is the final season of old Nissan
No.
Stadium.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it?
Supposed to be,
No,
yeah.
it's 25, 26.
They're
Yeah,
supposed to
that's-
open
yeah.
it. It's supposed to be ready in the
2027.
early 2027.
Okay.
Yes.
So they've given themselves a cushion
Okay.
to be ready for the fall of 27. So that it's supposed to be ready by then.
Yes. I've been under the impression
is
this
the
whole
last
time
season.
that this
This
is the
is the
last
last
season
season.
of old Nissan Stadium.
Unless something crazy happens. Which
Yes.
You never know with
Yeah.
the construction of the new place.
But I think there will be, a sentimental value for those that have been true diehard type fans. Those that have, good through bad, they've come to that stadium and they supported the team. I think there will be a sentimental value to it. There will be one for me, as a player, and I'm sure, players that played in that stadium will feel that way. Here's my fun one. The Titans are, because we talked about.
Titans will have 11
Yes.
primetime games.
No, we talked about, the differential rest time and all that other stuff.
Yes.
The Titans will play 2 games this year, back to back, where the team that they're playing don't have as much rest.
Coming off a short week. A stretch of
play 2
consecutive games
Yes.
where the Titans will be facing an opponent coming
Of a
off a
short
short
week,
week.
yes.
Okay. Willie, you got
Something
one for us?
fun about the schedule.
Which would benefit the Titans.
It would. They had a bad net rest differential
I
last
just
season.
thought of that one too, Willie, as we were talking. So
Do you think in the last game at the stadium that people will want to grab a piece of memorabilia with be ripping the seat out of the?
a toilet seat.
Will they try to do that? A toilet
Yeah.
seat?
I think some
There's
people
always
try to
that
get
random
something.
person you run into that has a piece of something. Whether it's a piece of the
how they gonna
turf,
get it out the
it's
stadium?
a piece
though?
of the.
How they gonna get it out the stadium?
I mean, they're going to be tearing it down anyway. Might as
Right.
well help them out.
Are they going to do that? Yeah.
Okay.
Goalposts.
All right, I've got another fun question about the NFL schedule release.
But what would you take from the Nissan Stadium? Would there be something you would want?
I would grab one of those signs. I grab a sign like one of those small signs. Enter here. I grab one of those and leave.
One of those Nissan trucks that I can
with
drive
the faded,
off the lot.
with the faded paint. And everything they haven't. That's been there since 1998 or whatever. 99.
That's a relic.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'll take one of the Nissan trucks that's, for display. I'll drive that.
Okay, here's another fun thing. Amy Adams will allow the former players, last game of the season, to come in and get what they want. As far as
that's a good idea. They should.
Or something in the locker room. Former guys that have played there, come and get to here's something. Or eventually, maybe not right after the season has ended, the last game, but eventually she will say, hey, we got a little party gift for all those that have played here.
What would be your best visual, like, when you remember that stadium, what would it be about the stadium?
Oh, man.
Because you played when it was new. When it was newer, it was much better vibe. Than
it was a much better vibe. For me, it would be something in the locker room, like the locker, part of the locker. But there are many guys that have come through there or whatnot. But we were that Super Bowl team, so I just think, we should get first dibs.
You should.
Whatever she's giving out. So that would be
it was pretty nice.
Exactly.
Those first few years.
It was.
Yeah.
Like the locker room was nice and new. So I would like a locker. I can actually put that in my basement.
That's a great idea.
One more question about the schedule release tonight. How many of the Patriots' opponents will make fun of Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini in their schedule release videos?
Okay, so there's 17 opponents.
Yes.
Well,
some
14.
of them, yes, because some of them repeat.
Division. So that would take 14. So what's the over-under? What would we set? Over-under 3.5, 4.5?
I'm going to say.
I mean, it's low-hanging fruit. You have to try to do something, right?
I'm going to say 4.5.
I'm
under 4.5.
I'm going to say over 4.5.
Okay.
But it's all going to come within the division.
In some form.
It's all going to come within the division.
Well, that's 3 right there.
Yes.
I can't see it coming outside of the division. Like, what teams, like, you would only do that to your rival.
You have to try to come up with something clever. Like, tastefully. But you would spend some time on it. Like, I'm sure the staff has been getting together.
Quickly, here are the Patriots' opponents. Bills, Dolphins, Jets, obviously.
Bills and Jets. Automatic.
Okay,
come on.
Okay, hold on. Broncos, Packers, Raiders, Vikings, Steelers, Bears, Lions, Chiefs. Oh, they're playing the Chargers. The Chargers are absolutely going to
Chargers, yes.
The Seahawks and the Jaguars.
Denver may, because they beat Denver in the playoffs, minus their quarterback. But Denver may. But I can see the division teams, I can see them taking it.
The Chargers will absolutely do
Denver
it.
has to.
Oh, Jim Harbaugh? Oh, man, he's going to make sure y'all put something in there.
Maybe that clip finds its way into
exactly.
One of these videos.
Don't do, and then they show him and Diana together.
Yes. Well, you saw what Inside the NBA did on the ESPN a few weeks ago, right? Put him on the Titanic. Like Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet on the front of the ship, right? So
That's
see.
when it started.
We'll see how many teams poke fun at that in their schedule release videos. When we come on the air tomorrow at 3, we'll break down the Titans schedule. Special guest, Jeff Fisher on the program tomorrow. Derek Mason's a part of the Nashville Cats game on Saturday. Honorary captain with Kevin Dyson. So Jeff Fisher will join the program. Chad Withrow of Outkick will join the program. Willy hopefully will be celebrating a Denison Big Red win.
Oh, he will.
To open the NCAA tournament. But we will be back with you tomorrow at 3 p.m. We will talk to you then.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Thursday. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music, don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We will be back on these airs tomorrow at 3 p.m. on 102.5. And as I say, we're going to be talking.
And y'all will be listening.
Absolutely. So see ya. Peace.